The courtroom stretched beyond what human eyes could comfortably perceive. Its walls seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously, shifting between solid matter and pure energy. Captain Sarah Chen stood in the center of a crystalline platform, surrounded by beings that represented 17 different star systems. Above her, the Council of Eternal Judgment observed from their elevated positions, their forms ranging from towering pillars of light to creatures made entirely of geometric patterns that hurt to look at directly. Sarah was the only human in a room full of judges who had already decided her species was guilty. She could feel their contempt radiating like heat from a furnace. 3 months ago, a human exploration vessel had accidentally triggered an ancient beacon in the outer reaches. That single mistake had awakened something the galaxy had spent millennia trying to forget. Now, humanity faced extinction as punishment for their recklessness. The lead arbiter, a being called Executor Thane, who resembled a massive crystalline spider, spoke in a voice that resonated directly in Sarah's mind. Human representative, your species stands accused of violating the sacred silence. The beacon you disturbed was placed there as a warning, not an invitation. Your ignorance is no defense. We have studied your kind extensively over these past cycles. You are young, impulsive, and dangerous. Like children playing with fire, you threatened to burn down the entire house. Sarah clenched her fists at her sides. She had practiced her defense for weeks, memorizing every argument, every appeal to mercy. But looking at the cold, alien faces around her, she realized that words would not save humanity today. These beings had made their judgment before she ever arrived. They saw humans as nothing more than clever animals who had stumbled into technology they did not deserve. I understand your concerns, Sarah began, keeping her voice steady despite the fear coursing through her veins. But punishing an entire species for one mistake seems... One mistake, a voice cut through the chamber like a blade. It belonged to Magistrate Vrel, a being that resembled a floating mass of tentacles surrounding a single massive eye. Your history is written in mistakes, human. In your brief time with advanced technology, you have polluted your own world, created weapons capable of destroying yourselves, and now you reach for the stars with the same careless hands that nearly destroyed your home. You are a plague waiting to spread. The other council members murmured their agreement. Sarah felt her hope beginning to crumble. She had known this would be difficult, but she had not expected such overwhelming hostility. These beings did not see humans as equals or even as potential allies. They saw them as threats that needed to be eliminated. Then, something unexpected happened. The chamber began to shake. A low humming sound filled the air, growing louder with each passing second. The council members looked around in confusion as the crystalline walls started to glow with an eerie blue light. Sarah stumbled as the platform beneath her feet vibrated violently. "What is happening?" Executor Thane demanded, his mental voice sharp with alarm. From the center of the chamber, something began to rise. It pushed up through the floor as if the solid matter was nothing more than water. Sarah watched in amazement as an object emerged, ancient and covered in symbols that seemed to shift and change even as she looked at them. It was roughly spherical, about the size of a small car, and it pulsed with an inner light that felt older than the stars themselves. "The witness," breathed one of the council members, a being made of flowing liquid metal. "It cannot be. The witness has been silent for 3 million years." Sarah had no idea what they were talking about, but she could see the fear in their reactions. Whatever this object was, it commanded respect even from beings as powerful as the council. The sphere rotated slowly, its surface covered in intricate patterns that hurt her eyes to follow. Then, without warning, it projected a beam of light directly at Sarah. She gasped as information flooded into her mind. Not words exactly, but pure understanding. The sphere was called the Witness, and it was older than any civilization currently alive in the galaxy. It had been created by the first ones, a species so advanced they had transcended physical existence itself. The Witness had one purpose: to observe and record the truth about emerging species and to reveal that truth when judgment was passed. The sphere began to project images into the air above the courtroom.
Sarah saw her own species reflected back at her, but not as she had expected. The witness showed humanity's history, but it focused on moments the Council had not considered. It showed a mother in ancient times defending her child from a predator. It showed farmers sharing their harvest during a famine. It showed soldiers carrying wounded enemies to safety. It showed scientists working together across national boundaries to cure diseases. It showed artists creating beauty in the midst of war. It showed teachers passing knowledge to the next generation despite having nothing themselves. The Council watched in silence as the witness revealed the complexity of human nature. Yes, there was violence and destruction, but woven throughout with something else. An unbreakable drive to protect, to help, to create, to grow. The witness showed humans at their worst, but it also showed them at their best, and it made clear that the best was just as real as the worst.
Executor Thane's mental voice cracked with uncertainty. This proves nothing. Every species has moments of compassion. It does not change their fundamental nature. But the witness was not finished. The projections shifted, and now Sarah saw something that made her heart skip a beat. The images showed not just humanity, but the other species in the galaxy. The witness revealed their histories too, stripping away millions of years of pride and pretense. Sarah watched as the witness displayed the early days of the Thane species. They had been conquerors once, spreading across their home system and enslaving lesser species for labor. She saw the Vrel civilization rise to power by consuming other cultures, literally absorbing their knowledge by destroying their populations. Every species in the council chamber had a dark past. Every single one had made the same mistakes humans were being accused of making. The difference was time. These ancient species had millions of years to evolve, to grow beyond their violent origins. Humanity had only had a few thousand years of recorded civilization and barely a century of spaceflight. The witness was not showing these histories to excuse human behavior, but to provide context. It was asking the Council a simple question. How can you judge a species for being exactly where you once were? Magistrate Vrel's single eye closed slowly. The witness remembers everything, she said quietly. Even the things we wish to forget. The sphere pulsed brighter, and now it showed something different. Sarah saw the future, or rather possible futures. The witness projected multiple timelines branching out from this moment. In some, humanity was destroyed, as the Council intended. The galaxy continued without them, safe and stable. But Sarah noticed something odd about these timelines. They were static, unchanging. The other species continued their existence, but they did not grow. They did not evolve. They simply maintained what they already had, repeating the same patterns for millions of years. Then the witness showed timelines where humanity survived. These were chaotic and messy. Humans made mistakes, sometimes terrible ones, but they also brought something the galaxy had lost over its long, stable existence, the ability to think differently. Sarah saw humans working alongside alien species, combining their reckless creativity with ancient wisdom. She saw new technologies emerging from this collaboration, solutions to problems that had plagued the galaxy for millennia. She saw art, music, and philosophy that challenged old assumptions and opened new ways of thinking. The witness was showing that humanity's youth was not just a liability. It was also their greatest strength. They had not yet become set in their ways. They were still flexible, still learning, still willing to take risks that older species would never consider. One of the council members, a being that resembled a cluster of glowing crystals named Harmonizer Calyx, spoke for the first time. I understand what the witness is showing us. We have all become comfortable in our ancient ways. We preserve and protect, but we no longer explore or imagine. Perhaps that is why the galaxy has felt so empty for so long. We have achieved stability at the cost of wonder. Wonder Executor Thane's voice dripped with scorn. Wonder is what got us into this situation. The humans activated the beacon because of wonder. Their curiosity is dangerous. Sarah found her voice again. You're right, it is dangerous, but it's also what drives us forward. Yes, we activated the beacon by mistake, but we did it because we wanted to understand. We saw something unknown, and we reached out to learn about it. Maybe that was foolish, but it came from a desire to grow, to know more than we did before. The witness pulsed in agreement, and now it showed one final set of images. Sarah saw the beacon that humanity had accidentally activated, but the witness revealed its true purpose, something the Council had apparently not known. The beacon was not just a warning, it was a test. The first ones who created it had designed it to activate when a species reached a certain level of development. It was meant to draw the attention of the galactic community and force them to make a choice: destroy the new species out of fear, or welcome them despite their imperfections. The first ones had known that a galaxy ruled by fear would stagnate. They had built the beacon as a way to force the ancient species to confront their own prejudices. Every time a new species triggered a beacon, the older civilizations had to decide what kind of galaxy they wanted to live in. Would it be one that eliminated potential threats before they could cause problems, or one that embraced the chaos and possibility that came with new perspectives? The courtroom fell silent. I could see the council members processing this revelation. The witness had not just defended humanity, it had challenged the entire foundation of their judgment. They were acting as wise elders, guiding younger species. They were acting as frightened survivors, trying to prevent any change to their carefully controlled existence.
Executor Thane was the first to speak after the long silence. His mental voice was different now, less certain. The witness has shown us truths we did not wish to see, but truth does not change the practical reality we face. The beacon has been activated. What was sleeping in the outer reaches is now awake. Even if we spare humanity, we may all face extinction because of their actions. Sarah felt her stomach drop. What do you mean? What did we wake up? A different council member answered, one who had not spoken before. She called herself Keeper Zara, and her form resembled a flowing aurora of colored light. In the ancient days, before our civilizations reached maturity, there was a war. A terrible war that consumed entire star systems. The enemy was known as the Devourers, entities that fed on the energy of living civilizations. They were eventually defeated and imprisoned in the outer reaches, sealed away by technology we no longer fully understand. The beacons were meant to warn everyone to stay away from those prisons. But the witness just showed that the beacons were tests, Sarah protested. They were both, Keeper Zara replied. The first ones never did anything for just one reason. Yes, the beacons tested us, but they also served as warnings. The question was whether we would respond to a new species triggering them with wisdom or with fear. It appears we chose fear. The witness pulsed again, and Sarah felt another wave of information enter her mind. This time, it was a message specifically for her. The sphere was telling her that the Devourers were indeed awakening, but there was still time to stop them. The key was not in ancient technology or superior firepower. The key was in human nature itself. Sarah understood immediately. "You've all forgotten how to fight?" she said, looking around at the council. "You've had millions of years of peace. You maintain your civilizations, you follow your laws, you preserve your cultures, but you've lost the ability to adapt quickly to threats. That's what humans still have. We know how to fight because we've never stopped fighting, not against each other anymore, but against our own limitations, against the unknown, against impossible odds." Magistrate Verl's eye fixed on Sarah with new interest. "You believe your species can help us defeat the Devourers?" "I believe we can try. Not alone, obviously, but if you combine your knowledge and resources with human creativity and adaptability, we might have a chance. The witness is showing you that we need us, not despite our flaws, but because of them. Our recklessness is just another word for courage. Our ignorance means we don't know what's impossible yet. Our youth means we haven't learned to give up. Harmonizer Kelx's crystals chimed with what Sarah interpreted as laughter. She speaks like a warrior poet. Perhaps there is more to humanity than we understood. Executor Thane remained silent for a long moment. Sarah could feel him wrestling with the decision. Finally, he spoke. The witness has never been wrong in all the eons it has existed. If it believes humanity deserves a chance, then perhaps we must reconsider our judgment. But understand this, human. We are not granting you mercy. We are entering into an alliance born of necessity. You will help us stop the devourers, and in return, your species will be allowed to survive and join the galactic community. But if you fail, if humanity proves unable to control their dangerous impulses, this judgment will be revisited. Sarah nodded. That's all we can ask for, a chance to prove ourselves. The witness pulsed one final time and then began to sink back into the floor. As it disappeared, Sarah felt a strange sense of loss. The ancient artifact had been humanity's unexpected ally, appearing at the exact moment when all hope seemed lost. It had shown the truth about humans, but it had also revealed truths about the entire galaxy. Everyone in this courtroom would leave changed by what they had witnessed. As the council formally declared the trial concluded and began making preparations to face the devourer threat, Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Humanity had come so close to extinction, judged guilty by beings who claimed to be wiser and more advanced. But an artifact older than any of them had looked at humans and seen something worth saving. It had seen potential, possibility, and hope. The road ahead would not be easy. The devourers were a threat that had once nearly destroyed the entire galaxy. Humans would need to work alongside species that had just hours ago been ready to eliminate them. Trust would have to be built, strategies developed, and courage found in the face of almost certain doom. But Sarah had learned something important today. The galaxy's ancient species had forgotten a crucial truth. Survival was not about being perfect or never making mistakes. It was about being willing to stand up after falling, to learn from errors, and to keep fighting even when the odds seemed impossible. That was the real human strength. Not that they never fell, but that they always got back up. As Sarah left the courtroom to return to her ship and begin preparations for the coming conflict, she thought about the witness and its message. The ancient artifact had shown that humanity was not being judged for being different from the other species. They were being judged for reminding those species of what they used to be, of the messy, chaotic, dangerous process of growing and evolving. The galaxy had chosen stability and safety for millions of years. Now, whether they liked it or not, they would have to remember what it meant to take risks, to dream of impossible victories, and to fight for a future that was not yet written. Humanity would teach them, not because humans were better, but because humans had no choice. They were still young enough to believe that anything was possible. And sometimes, Sarah thought as her ship lifted off from the ancient world, belief was the most powerful weapon in the universe.